The date, 9 August 1956, a turbulent time in the country. South Africa was in the grips of apartheid and racial segregation. Women from across the country descended upon the union buildings in protest against the unjust pass laws. Led by Lillian Ngoyi, Sophie Williams-de Bruyn, Rahima Moosa and Helen Joseph, it was and remains a historic moment in South Africa's struggle for freedom. The rallying cry, Wathinta Bafazi, Wathind Imbokodo, you strike a woman, you strike a rock. Today, 67 years later, and nearly 30 years into democracy, South Africa remains one of the most unequal societies in the world. While there's been progress in terms of women representation in almost every field, from commerce to aviation, sport and government, millions more are still living in extreme poverty and face daily struggles of unemployment, gender-based violence and abuse. Numerous laws aimed at gender equity and justice are in place, but some academics say the problem lies with its implementation.
The struggle during the transition was a very important struggle with the Women's National Coalition. So that was an umbrella body of about 80 women's organizations, the ANC Women's League, and so on, that came together to form this coalition and to fight to get women's issues included in the Constitution. So they wrote a women's charter after contacting about 1 million women on grassroots level. So that was a big moment. They also, the feminist activists and scholars involved, created the National Gender Machinery, which was the structures in the state to promote gender equality. And we were so hopeful. And that first 5 years that we made many pieces of legislation that were, really promoting gender equality, to today with a commission that's completely dysfunctional. So we need to understand today's struggles in the light of the failures that we've now had over about 30 years.
Women in especially previously disadvantaged and poor communities continue to bear the brunt of poverty, crime, unemployment and gender-based violence.
Yes, we've come a long way since the abolishing of the pass laws, and then there's been programs that have been happening. But the women that we are working with, which are disadvantaged, are still the ones that are still vulnerable. We have women that are still victims of gender-based violence and femicide that are still affected, even after the 1994 elections, where everyone was given a right and responsibilities towards the making of the new South Africa.
Being free as a country, I don't see anything free as a country, because we are as if now we are in a slavery time, because women cannot walk free, we cannot get jobs, and with not getting jobs, people are depending on men to support them, and now they becomes dependent on the men, so that they cannot see for themselves to move forward. So it's a big problem.
In Umfuleni, a township close to Khayelitsha, poverty and safety are also cited as challenges facing women. Informal businesses for some, the only way of making a living.
For women to empower themselves, they can wake up in the morning and stock things to sell. Like me, I sell chicken feet because there are no jobs.
18-year-old Sinalita Mbusi finished matric last year. Unable to get into university, she decided to take up a sewing course offered here.
They can take more programs like this so that they can be able to create their own businesses, because I feel like people need to realize that they need to create things for themselves instead of waiting things to come to them.
40-year-old Nonzukiso Klaas lives in nearby East River. Tired of being unemployed, she too registered for the sewing course.
I was unemployed for more than 10 years. I was at home looking after my children. So I've decided, no, I'm tired, and it's depressing to stay at home and doing nothing and doing the same thing, because you're cleaning, you're doing the same thing over and over. So it is very depressing. So I've decided to do something for myself.
The centre's management says women in Umfuleni, like in most townships across the country, are still facing extreme hardship.
We're facing a lot of gender-based violence around Umfuleni, a lot of crime, a lot of unemployment.
Kho says with femicide in South Africa 5 times the global average, it's imperative that Chapter 9 institutions, especially the Commission for Gender Equality, fulfill its oversight mandate and to promote gender equality in South Africa. Vanessa Puna, SABC News, Cape Town.